Hi, and welcome to my podcast. What's the value of addiction? My name is Brendon. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I've been sober since April 2022. On this podcast, I will share my journey and the tools I've used to create a life that is not perfect, but a lot kinder and truer for me. I hope it can be a contribution to you so that you know that no matter where you are on this journey, something truly different is possible. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the What's the Value of Addiction? Another episode with my wonderful friend Nikolett. Hello.
Hello,
So
everyone.
I have
Thank
a
you for having me.
last week on the last episode, I announced that this is the best podcast in the world. So I just wanted to tell you that, so there's no pressure. Okay.
I will do my best today.
I just had to let it. I don't even know where it came from. I just had to let it out. That I was just like, I just wanted to let everyone know it's the best podcast in the world. So there you go.
There you go.
So thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited because I know some of your stories from your history or your past. And when we had the chat the other day, I was like, yeah, I got some too with addiction.
I know, right? Isn't it? Um, it's an interesting thing, and you and I have had many conversations about your journey through it also, and the the inspiring part for me is watching and seeing where you're at now and what you're creating with your life. And because one of the things for one of the things for me, like, if 3 years ago, even if I would have, even just having the space that I have available in my world now, to even consider that as a possibility 3 years ago, it was just like, ain't ever gonna happen. And you know, did you have that, where it was like, I'm never going to have a life, I'm never going to be successful, I'm never going to be able to create?
Oh, yes, big time. I actually never thought I will be over my addiction ever. So I could not imagine myself going out for lunch or dinner with friends and not having a drink. Or not like one drink, more drinks, but without drinks. And before that, I was addicted to cocaine and I couldn't imagine myself having a weekend without doing something with friends. And I remember one time we were going out. I was a lot younger, like basically, I believe it's like 17 years ago or 18 years ago. And
Uh-huh.
we were at a party and we were constantly going back to the bathroom, just like do drugs. And I was like, will this ever end? Like, I can't even be relaxed without doing this. Like, I couldn't, like, I would be just like not feeling confident or, comfortable going out and not doing anything. And as soon as I was doing drugs, I was like, relaxed. And I couldn't imagine
Isn't,
myself. Yeah.
isn't it interesting that we used to think that was relaxed?
Yeah. That's
Because
interesting.
I did the same. It was just like, the that idea of being so closed off from the world was what I decided relaxation was. And it was like, without that, how am I going to manage? How am I going to cope with this place?
It was actually the same for me. So my story started, I was 21 or 22, and I had a boyfriend. And at the time, I was living in a small village. So as a kid or, a teenager, we would go to the
Mhm.
bar, like a local bar in my village, and have drinks and vomiting and all this stuff, but like not really bad. I didn't know anything about drugs at all. And I met this guy, and he was 7, 8 years older than I, and he was like so nice every weekend, and he was nice anyway. But on the weekends, we were hanging out. And he was like super sweet and kind. And it's like, what are you doing? It's just weird. And he's like, no, 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 nothing, nothing. And then weekend by weekend and next weekend. And at some point I was like, hey, something is happening. You have to tell me because you are just so different than when we arrived and now. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. You should try. I was like, I never did anything like that, so I don't know. But I did anyway. I tried, and it was no way go back where I was before. So we started doing drugs on the weekends with friends. We were traveling and doing the drugs, and it went for a couple of years. And I had issues with my nose, and it was just like we did drugs from, I don't know, Thursday till Sunday night. And then Monday came. I was so depressed. I hated myself, and my life was just bad. And then I couldn't wait until Thursday or Friday. We would say the Thursday is like a small Saturday, so we can do something. And we started doing things on Fridays, and I was just relaxed because all of the weight of my life and the world would be gone. But then as soon as you stop doing drugs, the weight just came back and was sitting on my shoulder, and actually it was just even worse than before. So it went for a while, and then we were doing drugs. And then of course we were drinking too. So when we broke up, I had no money to buy drugs anymore because it was really expensive and I wasn't making enough money to buy drugs. So
Well, you also chose a very expensive drug.
yeah. See? I love luxury.
Yeah. Even when I'm doing drugs, I'm gonna do it in style. Hello.
Yeah, so we broke up and I started drinking right away. So basically I was drinking every single day. And I didn't know I had problem with alcohol. And it was really not a thing for me to also think about because my dad and my family, everyone had an issue with alcohol basically. So my grandmother, she was an alcoholic. Her husband, he died early, but he had issues with alcohol. And then my dad was an alcoholic and he still is. And his brothers were drinking also. So when we were visiting my grandma on the weekends as I was a kid, the conversation was about who is going to drive because I want to drink. So it was like always argument in my family is like, why do you drink? And then when we arrived to my grandma, my dad, she wasn't making a coffee when we arrived. She was like, in Hungary we have this drink we call palinka. It's really strong. It's really crappy. And they were like, that was the welcome drink, right? On the morning, like 10 a.m. And for me, alcohol was around all of my life, even as a kid. So for me, that you are drinking during the day, it wasn't a bad thing. It's like, it's normal. It's a thing that we do. And I didn't consider myself being an alcoholic. I was like, yeah, we drink. Like, of course, I go to my friend's house. What do you have to drink? Not like, do you have a coffee or something? It's more like what you can offer me to drink. And one day, it was like 1 or 2 years after my breakup with this guy, a friend of mine called me and he's like, hey, there is this thing, an event. Would you like to come? And I'm like, no, 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 I'm really busy. I don't want to go. And he said something. He said, oh, you're going to stay in and drink. And I was like, what? I'm like, I'm not drinking. But then I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I am. And I was offended, but at the same time, it pinged me. And I never forget that sentence.
Mm.
And then even after, I started to see myself a little bit from the outside, not from the inside, because until that point, I was just seeing myself from the inside. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's what we do. And there was something else that happened to me when one day I used to be a hairstylist. So I was on my way to my home on the evening after my shift. And I stopped by a grocery store we had on the corner and I stepped in and the guy at the desk, he didn't even say anything. He's like, hi. He turned around, grabbed a drink, put it on the counter, And he's like, what else? And I was like, oh, I have some issue with the alcohol. And I realized, I mean, not back then, but then many, many years after, when I stopped drinking, I realized that I had no days for basically 4 years that I had no hangover. And I didn't know I was feeling crappy. I didn't know I wasn't 100%. I didn't know that. I just that was normal for me, drinking every single day. So every time I would go out with anyone for just a lunch on Wednesday, I would get a drink for sure. A cocktail or a glass of wine or prosecco, and I didn't know. And then I got into an accident, and
You got into a rather big accident.
yeah. So when I was 29, I was partying with my friends on the afternoon. I'm living in Budapest. We have a beautiful river crossing over the city, and we have these party boats. And basically every Saturday, we would go there 2, 3 p.m. on the afternoon until 8 p.m. The party was going until 8 p.m. And it was just funny because everyone made fun of me because I never lasted until 8. So 6, 7, by 6 and 7, I was so drunk that I left without saying goodbye to anyone because I felt so crappy. And it's so shameful. I basically don't remember like 80, 90% of the time how I got home. And I was a girl, like young, like 27, 28, 29. And I didn't even know how I got home in Budapest. Like, come on. And and when my accident happened, we were at this party and I got wasted a little bit. I went home on the afternoon and I woke up like 8 p.m. and I realized that I don't have food. So I wanted to go to the grocery store. I hopped on my scooter and I got into a really big and bad accident. And they almost amputated my leg that night. And the next day, my mom was in my room. Everyone was devastated, honestly. They didn't amputate my leg the first night. And my mom came into the room, and then my doctor came into the room, and the doctor said there is a little bit of an issue because we did a blood test, and the problem is that Nikolett was drinking. And my mom was so mad. She's like, what? You didn't tell me this small detail. And I was like, well, it wasn't that bad. I got home at 3 p.m. So that happened at 8. So don't worry, mom. It's not because of that. And honestly, the accident didn't happen from drinking. It was that the car hit me and he left me there. So basically, he left me and someone else found me on the side of the road. But at the same time, I felt so guilty. And I was like, I'm never going back. But here's a funny story. So I couldn't drink, right? My leg was broken to many, many pieces, but I was constantly thinking about drinking. I just, oh my God, I'm like, I need to drink. But what do you say? You are living alone. I was living by myself and my friends came to visit. So they did my grocery shopping and everything. And what do you say? Hey, can you buy me a bottle of wine or what? So I felt ashamed. So I never tell anyone. But at some point, and I never share this story. So it's going to be the very first time.
Okay, good. This is a good place for it. I like it.
I know. So one day I woke up, my leg was still in these boots, and I was on my scratches. This is how you call them,
The
I believe.
crutches. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I need to drink. I need to drink. It was this voice in my head. It was so loud. I need to drink. I need to get the drink. And how do I manage that? And there was a grocery store 2 blocks from my house. And I was living in an apartment building, and I knew very well my neighbors. And you know, my neighbor was a Columbo who would everyone who would go in a staircase, she would open the door and check on it. It's like, who is that? What's moving outside? I was like, how can I go with my crutches down the staircase
To get some
without
booze.
checking on me? And I managed it. I went to the grocery store. It took me half an hour to get there. I got a bottle of wine. I put it in this plastic bag, wrapped over my thing. and walked back home. No one catched me. I drank the whole bottle of wine in like an hour and I was wasted. I vomited. I was feeling so crappy. And that was the moment, I believe, when I was like, I have issue with this. I need to change this. I don't know how. And I'm an alcoholic and I really, or either I changed this or not. And it was just funny because when my accident happened, I knew right away I am a completely different person. So when I woke up the next day after my accident, I knew I was completely a different person. I changed. And it was just interesting. I'm like, so what? So did I change or not? Or what, like, why I want to drink again? Or what is this? So I was in this confusion. So my alcoholism didn't just go away right away after my accident. And I healed and I went back to my life and I started to drink again. Not that bad, but it wasn't good. So I moved to San Francisco and I got married and I had a lot of trouble because of me drinking. I made my ex husband crazy with my stuff. So if I would have two drinks, I was crazy, like not okay. And he kept telling me I have an issue with this and I need to change this. But I was like, no, 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 no. I'm fine. I don't have any issue with this. And honestly, what I see how I changed my alcoholism was that my body break down so much. And I realized I have so much issue with my health, with my hormones, my digestions. I had food allergies and so many things. And I had so many issues with my hormones that I was like, I can't live like this. So if I am not changing this, I rather die. I was big, swollen all the time, and a really good friend of mine, Esther's sister, she was really into nature path and all these things. And I got an appointment with her, and she gave me a new lifestyle basically. What can you eat, how to heal your microbiome and your hormones. We didn't even talk about alcohol. And she gave me all of this, and she's like, if you're going to change this, your body will heal because your body is really, really intelligent and so fast. So you stick to this, it's going to be fine. And then she said, no caffeine for a while and no alcohol. And I was like, no alcohol? Come on. And then somehow I chose to stick to the new lifestyle, basically. I wouldn't say it's a diet, it's more like a new lifestyle. And I stopped drinking and I started to feel amazing. And my body changed shape, and more what I wanted to change how I feel to be in my body because I was not happy with my body at all. And it's just so interesting to now I'm sharing this with you. It wasn't that I wanted to stop to drink. It was more that my body was yelling.
Done.
Like, yeah. And I kind of knew if I'm not going to change this, I'm not going to last too long because my body got enough. So since I was a teenager, I was drinking, honestly, and that was a thing also in my family. So I changed my diet. I stick to this new lifestyle and I started to feel amazing. And here's what came, which was super interesting to me. I realized that I feel 100% after I was doing that diet. I had to stick to it for 6 weeks only. And then she would give me back some stuff, no alcohol and caffeine at the time. And after a couple of weeks, I realized, oh my God, I'm so productive. I am feeling amazing. And I was like, I will never go back because I want to feel 100% every single day in my life and I want to create. And that was the time when I started to change my life and also my business started to thrive. And I was so, I couldn't believe I was able to create things which I was never able before while I was drinking and I was, waking up, headaches, and I would like to go back to the bed and all this. And as my body started to thrive, I started to look so much better. people like to be around me, and but more likely for me, I realize I am able to create. And I was like, I'm never going back. I'm never going back
Yeah.
because I want to create. I love creation. It's amazing. And it's amazing to wake up in the morning and you are like, let's conquer the world. But when you drink, I mean, heavily, like I did, you don't wake up like that on the morning for sure. And for me, basically, changing my alcoholism was because I perceived that I can create. And I was like, okay, I choose this. I go this way, not that way. And what is interesting for me, because most of my friends who had the same issue, they don't drink anymore, like not even one drink. But me, for me, it's alcohol is not an issue anymore, because before I would have one drink, and then if I had one drink, I don't know how was it for you, but I had one drink, I had to have more. And nowadays, I can have one drink, not an issue. Like, because I know, okay, one is for pleasure. It's good. Sometimes I don't drink much anymore. But when I have one drink, it's always about celebrating life or having pleasure by trying something, a good cocktail when you're in Mexico City, or Italy, Mexico City, a good mezcal, oh my God, or like a good glass of Prosecco in Italy. But that's it. It's for pleasure for me. And I know if I would have one more, I wouldn't be 100% the next day. And I know I have shit done. I have shit I have get done. So I would never choose one more drink because I know I have things to do. So I,
Well, and
for,
that that's a big difference for people though also, because I had to be clear in the
yeah,
beginning that I was an alcoholic. I had to learn what that was though. And so for me now, like, I there's you plus I've got a couple of other friends who had massive problems with alcohol and now they can drink. Like I used to think one of the things I struggled with, I remember my first when this started coming out, I was actually having a conversation with a close friend and he brought up the topic of alcoholic. And I was just like, fuck you. I don't want to hear that. And I hated that word. And what I realized for me was an alcoholic was somebody who was violent, abusive, somebody who couldn't, you know, basically was just a totally narcissistic person. And so for me, having that stigma with that word and having this, this is what an alcoholic is, I couldn't even receive anywhere that I might be that. And I remember, I remember starting to learn about the differences because I had my father and I thought for sure he was an alcoholic. He was a violent man. He would go into these rages and his eyes would change. You'd be talking to a different person. And but now he can drink. He still drinks. He drinks like 2 beers. He'll drink a little bit and then he won't drink for 3 days. And that really confused me because I was like, wait a minute, I can't do that. What's the difference between me and somebody who can change this? And that was where I learned about the allergy of the true alcoholic being having an allergy to alcohol. Because I know right now, if I was to have another drink, one drink, that would be it. I'd be off to the races. See, Brendan. Brendan's left the building. Um, you have this version now.
yeah. I mean, that's why I said that, because it's the same for a couple friend of mine. They could not have a
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's that part is, I think it's different for all of us, but you have to have that willingness to look at what's actually going to work, what's actually true for you. Because I know for me, in the beginning of my sobriety, I was like, if somebody would have told me that in 3 years you're going to be able to have a couple of drinks and it's going to be okay, I would
Hmm.
have started drinking again. I had
Yeah.
to be absolutely certain for myself that it wasn't going to work. And But so I want to talk to you about something else, because so you found access,
Yeah.
you've created and are creating, and just you're just off the charts, awesome.
Thank you.
You've got your book there in the background. You got
Two
lots
of
of
them
things going on.
actually.
Yeah,
Two of them.
two books now.
Yeah, and I have my third
Um,
coming where I
oh
share a
my
lot of my
god.
alcoholism actually. Yeah.
Well, I want to bring something up, because you and I have conversations, and we were chatting yesterday, and I noticed a similarity with you and I with, like, well, it's not just with you and I. I noticed this similarity with a lot of people, where they're just like, I'm fucking bored. I just want to quit, or I'm not having an easy time with this, or this is going on. And I want to know with you what the difference is now with being with those things with yourself. Because one of the things I had to learn, I still learn every day, is how to actually be with things when they come up, rather than have this need to try and escape from it. Yeah. Because it's easy to go, oh my God, yeah, I'm recovered and I'm amazing all the time, and everything's wonderful. No, it's fucking not. We have shit come up all the time. Both you and I do, but we all have things that come up for us, things that we'd like to be different, things that we change. But I'd like to look at the difference now with the willingness to actually be with it, rather than have to run away from it.
So thank you for your acknowledgement. I'm learning to receive more of that. It's not.
You better.
Yeah. 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 Yes. So I would like to go back a little bit because in I had an interesting childhood, which I was always judging that I had the worst childhood. I hated my parents. And most of my depression and unhappiness came from me thinking a lot about my childhood and how my parents were never successful on anything. Even my dad started a business. We lost our home, family home, and car, and then we had to move back to my grandparents. And my mom hated it, so she left with another man. She started a new family. She left me with my dad in my mother's parents' house. It was just weird stuff, and I hated it. And I remember before my accident, my dad was concerned, and he called my sister. I have one sister, and then I have a bunch of sisters, but with my dad and my mom, we are just two of us, Veronica and I. And he called Veronica, telling her that I was calling him at 10 p.m. at night, asking him about my childhood dramas. Why did he say that? Why did he choose that? And after my accident, I felt I was a completely different person. I knew I'm not going to be a hairstylist anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going back. And my family was like, what you going to do? You don't have any money? Because I had like $20 in my purse when they found me on the side of the road. And my mom got all of my belongings, and she went through everything. And she's like, Tammy, you have more money than this. And I'm like, no, that's it. And she's like, you crazy. And they were concerned about my life. But what happened was I got back from the hospital and I was really depressed. And I started searching, and I find some stuff on the internet. And luckily, some friend of mine introduced to my now good friend András, who is a Hungarian access facilitator. And I remember going to his class for the very first time. I felt so wrong. I hated myself. I hated my life. I hated my mom so much. And I just wanted money, and I never had it. And I was sharing my stories in class with András, and I was so upset with him because every time I tried to share with him how wrong I was and how fucked up I was, he was like, yeah, but what if it's not an issue? What if that's your strongness? Like, what if you don't have money because you have a lot of capacity with money? And I'm like, dude, Did you hear what I just said? I just told you I am so fucked up. I am so screwed up. I never had money. My family never had money. And they are so wrong. Like, my mom is so wrong. And it was interesting because sitting in that class, my phone was silent. And after class, came out, I look at my phone, and I got a message from my mom. And she said, "You know, Nicolette, I never told you before, but I really love you." And I start crying. I'm like, what? Me just being in this class, Andras trying to facilitate me into, I am not wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. My parents didn't do anything wrong. All good. You are not lost.
Yeah.
It's like, do you see your power? Like, so much crap. You got some power, bitch. And I'm like, okay, but no, I don't have any power.
Was that your first class? Was that your first access class?
Yes,
Wow.
it was the first class, and it was, and I knew I came out of the class the first day. I knew I never be the same person, and everything he said, it didn't let me just be with my old
Yeah.
self. I really had to question everything, and I was like, yeah, what if I am not fucked up? What if? And I was like, yeah, what if I just don't have money because I have so much that I know about money that I don't want to know. And then maybe I am able to create something because my point of view was before, oh, everyone is so lucky. Yeah, they got this talent and they can create, but not me. Yeah, right. I can't. And also because I had a lot of experiences from my childhood because I was a really intense kid and I had a lot of questions and I didn't trust anyone. And now I know I should not trust them. So I never trusted people. And I was really clear on that. I'm like, you lying. That's not true. And I was like, and my parents hated it. And especially people around us, my parents had to always protect me because I was like, so I couldn't sit on my mouth ever. And I got so much, like, especially in school, I was told many many times that I was stupid. I will never speak any languages. Let it go. Just, and actually, two of my teachers told me, Nicolette, you should find a rich man. You're gonna be fine. Don't try to learn anything. Don't try to be anything. You just find a
Did
rich
you
man. Yeah.
did you send them your book yet?
Well, to one of
You
them, yes.
should just with a I didn't find the rich man yet, but here's my book. That's what you should write in it as a note. Signed, Nicolette.
Actually, it was interesting because I had rich boyfriends, but it never worked for me. But I didn't know what was going on until I got to the access classes and I started to discover for myself, oh, that's why my relationship don't last. Because I get into these relationships with this man, but then I don't want to be in the relationship, and it's a mess always. And this is what my life was. I started to create my life. I got to some point, and then I met someone. I let go everything, my apartment, my job, and I was just for the man. And then I started to hating them and started to create drama so they would leave me because I would never leave them. They left me, so I was the pathetic person always. Like, I was, it just happened to me, of course. And then look at that, all these men are so bad. And then I started again. I created my life, new man, new stories. So it was just like these waves. And basically, after my accident was when everything has changed. But before that happened, I wanted to die so much, and I never told to my friends, but I was always like, why am I here? Like, I was wishing every night I'm not going to wake up the next morning. And I was like, "Ah, I'm still
You,
here. I can't believe."
do you ever still have that? Like, not necessarily the like, do you ever still have that kind of like, what's the point, or like that desire to quit
Yeah,
ever?
sometimes.
What do you do with that?
So I had an interesting year behind me, honestly, especially with my business and my own like private life, where my life was heading to a direction. I got a lot of success, which I couldn't believe. I had bars classes with hundreds and hundreds of people and big foundation classes, and my membership was rocking like 2,500 people, members in the membership. So I felt also I have an effect on the world. So what am I choosing and what am I doing? It's just has an effect. And my business started to become a business instead of being this, like, I don't know if this is the right word, but instead of becoming a portal to infinite possibilities, because this is what it was at the beginning.
You mean it started becoming a business,
A
like a
business.
a big
Yeah.
a big boy business, like a big girl pull up your big girl panties and create a
Yeah.
real business?
Yeah.
One of
A
those
really
ones?
serious business. Yeah.
I hear
With
you, sister. Oh
yeah.
boy, do I know that one.
But then I didn't know something was not okay for me or something was off. And I got to some point where and then I broke up with my ex-boyfriend and he was in my business. So basically we were creating together this business growing, and also the communication and everything became about the business, that we are creating this huge something. And I just couldn't tell what was it, but I was not happy in the inside. So, and then the breakup happened, and then I kept going with the business. He left, and I was like, okay, I can do it on my own. I'm gonna create this business on my own. And I was like, I'm going to be on Forbes. I'm going to do this and that. And I couldn't tell what was off, but like last autumn, I would say October, November, I started to be not happy with my life. So I started to hide. I was mostly at home. I attended classes mostly online if I could, so I don't have to be around people. And at Christmas, I was like, I don't like my life. I don't know why I'm here. And I supposed to have a surgery in December, and I had a fear if I would go to that surgery, I won't wake up. And do you remember that? Because I'm sure you remember
I
that
do
because
remember. I
yeah, I had
remember.
yeah, I had many chats about that with you. It's like, hey Brendon, what if I don't wake up? Like I don't know. And many people ask me if I want to check out, and the answer was yes. And so my question was after, and I was like, good to know. So I skipped the surgery in December, and from December I started to ask, like, what I'm trying to die out of, like, what is it? And I was like, my life. And I realized I got all this success, all these things I always wanted. I don't want this. And I was like, okay, well, what I want. And it took me many, many months. It was not easy. I had to make really tough decisions. I break down my company to pieces, and basically we came from 25, 19 people to nowadays we are 6 people and some other people who helps us like part-time. And even today, I am like, I don't know what I am creating now, because what I was doing, it's not working for sure. I changed it, but I'm right now, I am in between. So,
Well, I loved the way that you said it, that you went from creating a portal to possibilities to a business.
yes.
And that, like, that, I did this video the other day actually for something. I've got this thing coming up, The Idiot's Guide to Business, and I did this video, and I'd forgotten about this. But I had businesses when I was 14, doing things, and I was like, that was so joyful for me. And then I did the same thing. It's now going to do business, big boy business, and but I see where I see where I still try and choose things like that in my life rather than like that joyful, that the joyfulness of being present in each moment. And I'm grateful that you bring it up the way that you do, because there's one of the things that's been interesting for me lately is I've had like this weird I've kind of, well, I think I mentioned this to you yesterday. Like, I have days where I'm like, where did my magic go? Because for me, like, I just like, when I'm being me, I'm just like, yeah, anything's, let's go, let's do this thing. Like, but then some days, and I'm like, but I notice how much of that's going on in the world in the moment. And I bring that part up because one of the things I find interesting is how much we try and make ourselves appear as if we have to be some kind of everything's okay, even when it isn't. And that was, I remember being in, I was in a rehab clinic in Italy for 2 weeks, right? And this was right after that access class that you did with me at the castle.
Yeah.
And I'm in this rehab, and the guy was like, basically, people go like this emotionally. You know, he said, you go like this, and I was like, uh-huh. Like, like, but that was my thing. And the interesting thing for me has been to um learn to learn that it's okay to not be okay.
Mm.
Like, I always did this thing of like, if I'm not okay, and I mean by not okay, like if I'm having a day where I'm like weird as fuck, or I'm really uncomfortable, or a lot's changing, or I am having that, some old energy or reference points come up, that you don't have to hide from it anymore.
Mm.
You don't have to go, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. No, it's like, no, I'm having a shitty day. What can I be help? Help.
Yeah, exactly. I, can I share a little momentum? Um, like a couple of months ago, I'm living in a really nice house outside of Budapest, and I love it. And things started to falling apart. Like everything was like electricity went off many times. I couldn't leave the house because my garage door is still on the electricity, and I was trapped in home, and the roof started to leak, and everything was wet. I had this fungus because of that, and just like mold, and I'm like, what is going on? And beyond that, everything started to become something like I don't judge it as it was bad, but back then I was really judging it. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Look at my life, nothing is working, everything is falling apart, everything is broken. And it's so funny because I'm here where I am at right now. I look back to this year and a half, and everything was perfect because just the universe wanted to show me, because that's my book is about the this one is it's called What Life Wants to Live in You. And this question came from me from a book which I love and would really recommend it. It's called Let Your Life Speak. And in that book, Parker G. Palmer, the author, and he says, instead of you telling your life what you want to do with it, let your life speak what it wants to do with you. And I was like, what? And nowadays I'm like, okay, my life is speaking what it wants to tell me. And I'm listening. And I was like, okay, the house is something. And I love this place. My landlords are wonderful people. I adore them so much. And I'm like, what's going on? And I realized it's time for me for my own house. It's just let's move on. And I was like, but I don't have the money. Like, how I gonna handle this? And I'm not like, it was just magical. My assistant, she started to look for houses. I went to see one. Either the lady who was showing the house and also my assistant, this is the house, Nikolett, perfect. This is what you wanted. You can have your own podcast studio. You can have an office. You can have this, that. You can bring your dog. It's perfect. And I was like, I don't know. It's yeah, it's beautiful. It's all I wanted. No neighbors. I just I don't know, it's just a no for me. And it was just so not linear, not logical. And I was like, no. But I knew I want to move on as fast as I can because I'm fast. And then less than 3 days, my assistant calls me. She's like, hey, oh my God, I'm so glad you said no to the house. One is that house is leaking too. They just figured. Second, there is this house because the buyer stepped back and it got back to the market. But then the real estate agent called me. They don't show it to anyone. They want to show it only to me. Is in the forest in Budapest, no neighbors, pool, huge, beautiful. It's just, I went there and I was crying on the yard, on the backyard for half an hour. And the owner was like, no one cried. No one wanted to see the backyard. I'm like, this house is all about the backyard. Like, why people wouldn't want to see this? It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. And now when I look back, it's like choice after choice after choice. It's just like your life is speaking. And yes, you feel like everything is broken. Nothing is working. It's actually working. It's just, I heard something from an access facilitator a couple of years ago is that it's, you don't have a problem. It's just every problem is a possibility that you attached a judgment to. And I have that in my word all the time. It's sometimes I forget about it, and I feel crappy sometimes. I'm like, everything is broken, everything is wrong. And now when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, everything was just working perfectly. I just needed to make my choices, say no to that house, then this house could come. And also my life wasn't broken. But I felt so. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so done with this. Everything is broken. Why am I here? But at the same time, I think, I started my access journey 10 years ago, and so many things has changed ever since, and the world is changing, and it's okay. And it's just
Yeah.
are you resistance resistant or not, like resistant, what is the word, like are you
Avoiding being a
no,
magical unicorn.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
and 'cause I also heard something from an access facilitator 15 years ago. It's this tool called 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. Yeah, who does it belong to? But but
right.
it's like I like to. It's like, but bringing those things up also because um eh, one of the interesting things to even begin to acknowledge is our level of awareness. And on the topic of addiction, especially for the people of the world who have that level of awareness, the weirdos, the seekers, the ones who dream big and desire something different, that awareness doesn't go away. It only increases as you choose more, as you become more. And so a lot of people go, well, how do I deal with it? And it's not about dealing with it. It's about acknowledging it. And that's been that's been for me one of the really interesting things over the last few years is really navigating my life using it as uh, something that is a unique gift for all of us, not something that we have to get away from.
Mm.
I that's been the interesting thing in my world. I guess my whole life is this idea that there's a right way of doing anything. Like the thing with business. Well, there's a right way of doing business. And I'm good at finding out shit. I'm going to find out what the right way of doing business is while getting less joyful every day, trying to find the right way to do it rather than what that kid, who was like, I'm going to create a business because it's fun. I'm going to wake up today and play because it's fun. And that is such a different way to live. And it's just that.
Yeah, that was for me when I realized with my life and my businesses that yes, I always want more. There is this really desire, like this desire in
There you
me.
go.
Sorry.
I said, greedy guts? I
So,
always want more too. I'm just kidding. I'm just like, because we're all made wrong for that. You should be happy with what you've got. Why are you just not happy with what you got? Because there's more. It's a whole universe out there. Hello.
yeah, I heard Dane, Dr. Dane here saying, I think it's in his ESB manual that he wakes up every day and he wants to create something that has never existed before. And it's inspired me so much because I realized, yeah, I was up to that ever since I started what I do. But then at some point, my business and my life started to become this serious something where I lost my magic and my enthusiasm for creation. And yes, how I create nowadays, it's really different from how I created my life and my business 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I started, for sure. But like I have to be in a question all the time, like what is fun for me now? And let my life speak. Let my life telling me, not like it's a bigger thing than I am. It's just I think in this way I can really step out of my control because I'm really good at controlling my life and I want, a certain outcome and I
Right
try
on that one.
to I am really good at figuring it out, but then I never do, right? So I am actually
Yeah.
in this quicksand right now where I am like and this
Chaos,
you know
baby.
yeah, and also, where I am at right now, it's just silence and not much loudness and not much like because I got used to creating from push, force,
Yeah.
and proving, and it's gone. I am almost in my new house. I'm moving in August, but I'm almost there. And I sometimes with my life, I got to a point where I'm like, everything is so silent. I'm like, I don't have an idea. I don't know how to create. I don't know what to do. But the cool thing, I guess, is when it
Well,
happened
that's
to you.
funny. Well, I was going to say that's the energy that I was talking about.
Yeah,
Because when I said that thing before of when things get silent, like when you actually begin to have access to peace in your world, for a lot of us, especially somebody who's got, speaking of myself personally, a lot of who has had a lot of addictive personalities to deal with, that sense of space can almost seem like there's something completely wrong. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, where's all the things that I need to deal with and change about myself? And what's wrong with me today? And why don't I feel wrong today? And how am I, and it's like, and I always, that sense of peace where there's actually space in my world, I didn't realize until, you know, what I've worked through with this, that's actually the space that you can create your life from.
yeah. And also for me, so I got used to intensity because of the drugs and the alcohol. And also because I started to create my life from proving to everyone and myself, of course. And then this push and this forcing everything into existence. And I am not able to create from that space anymore. And I honestly felt with my life, and I shared with you yesterday, honestly, it's like I don't know how to create anymore because it's not true. I don't know. But like I am not able to create from the space I used to. It's not working for me
Yeah.
anymore. And it could feel you're lost, you don't know where to go. And I also, I had addictions, but I had the addiction to kind of like the intensity of my life and I was addicted to it. And now
Yeah.
my life is like so quiet. It's so different. It's so relaxed. And I almost felt like everything was wrong, everything fell apart, and I'm going to go somewhere, I don't know, really deep
Yeah.
um, with this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just enjoying it for now. I will ask my questions and see what can I change and what can I change? What can I choose from here? What can I do different than I did before. And I believe it was so nice what you said about the intensity of the addiction and get used to that space. And then when you change, you really have to acknowledge for yourself that, okay, I changed. And
Yeah.
what's next? Where to go from here? And it's beautiful. And also what we were talking about yesterday, you really have to see how we used to create our lives. It's you cannot create your life the same way, because the world is changing, you are changing, and I guess consciousness and the energies are changing too around us, and it's just a different
Yeah.
space.
It's yeah. But that's you know I would highly suggest to anyone who's listening who any of this, like, where you're just like, oh man, that just, sounds like me, or you check out access consciousness and the tools, because this, what we're talking about also, I couldn't imagine my life trying to live it the way that even sometimes I still try and create that, um, that structure or the need for some sense of form and significance, and to the willingness to be present each day and be in question is such a different way of living. So my favorite tool with the thing you were talking about before too, of like feeling lost, or nothing's working, is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Because if you're listening and you're feeling kind of lost, are you actually lost, or are you aware of where the world is functioning a lot like that? And does it just not match? Does your awareness not match what you're actually? Does your awareness of the world not match what you know as a possibility for you?
Hmm.
So,
I Yeah, I would wanted to say the same thing. Is I think many people say this, but it's so true for me. If I would not have the access consciousness tools, I wouldn't be here. In many ways, I don't think I would be alive.
yeah,
One, second,
I wouldn't want to be.
yeah, but then I wouldn't be what I am at with my life. And especially with these really simple tools that you can get in a bars class. Like sometimes I tell to people, you don't really need much more, because just those tools are able to change. I mean, not the tools, of course, it's your choice, but with those tools and with your choice, there is nothing you cannot change. And it's amazing.
Yeah, true story.
I'm really,
Everything's up for choice, to
yeah.
make a different choice.
And this is the very
And
first time in my life when I am more excited and more enthusiastic than when I started. And it's never been this way. I was always like, okay. And at some point, I was like, okay, I forgot about it. But with the access tools, they are always changing. There is always more. There is always more to explore. And it's just amazing. I'm so grateful. Yeah.
well, I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. I'm grateful too.
And we set a new record of 58 minutes for this podcast. So we're gonna leave you on that one. But thank you, Nikolett, for being here with me. You're a gift. And where can people find you and find all your awesome stuff?
um, I don't do much in English, unfortunately, yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, but this
And,
is going to be translated into Hungarian.
uh,
So, well,
so people can find me on nikolett.com with the K, Nikolett. And also, the good news is that my book, this one, What Life Wants to Live in You, comes in English in a couple of months, and it will be available on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. It's around
is
October,
it
so I'm very excited.
is it going to be the best book in the world, just like my podcast is the best podcast in the world?
I don't know about that. You guys should.
Hey, you just got it. You just put it out there. You know, people will be like, not the best book in the world, or it's not the best podcast in the world. You're like, it is. It is too. So
I think it's a great book for people to realize that they are not wrong and they are not fucked up. And there are a bunch of really simple tools in it. And also, Dr. Dane is here forward. So, yeah, it's
that's
awesome.
awesome. I love it.
Thank
You,
you.
darling.
I'm really grateful.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I am grateful for your presence. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe and share it with a friend that might benefit from these conversations. For more resources, check out my website, brendonwatt.com, and what else is possible you have never considered.